Thank you. The chair now recognizes myself for a second round of questioning. As I think about the Commander-in-Chief, and my previous question to Colonel Douglas, if Commander-in-Chief has not liked many of the deals that were done in the previous administration, in fact, there's been a 180-degree reversal on many of those. So as somebody who's served for 20 plus years wearing a uniform, you don't like it, you're the commander, we'll change it. So that ability was there, and Dr. Schroden, you publicly criticized the Biden administration's report on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Particularly, you stated the administration's report is not an objective attempt to identify or summarize lessons learned. You said it's a political document designed to deflect blame. And you also said at the end of the day, Biden is president who made the call, and the disastrous withdrawal occurred on his watch. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. Look, if we're going to have a discussion about the facts and what happened, when you're the commander-in-chief, you have a 4-year period, and you can make those decisions. And what I'm worried about right now, Ambassador Sales, is in the 9/11 Commission, it was stated and recognized that in the days leading up to September 11th, 2001, the words, "the system was flashing red," was said many times. They acknowledged there was a problem. And what I want to know right now and make sure that we don't get to is the system flashing red right now? Because it seems like it to me with all the issues we're talking about.
Well, Congressman, it's hard to know what the system is flashing if you don't have intelligence collection capabilities on the ground. Our intelligence professionals are incredibly skilled. They're the best in the world. But there's only so much they can do if they don't have human networks on the ground in Afghanistan, if they don't have ISR platforms doing orbits overhead. If I could, Congressman, address the broader question of the Doha Agreement. I think it's important to remember that President Biden, as a candidate, promised to get out of Afghanistan months before the Doha Agreement was signed. On July 30th, 2019, 7 months before Doha, he told the Council on Foreign Relations, quote, "I would bring American combat troops in Afghanistan home during my first term." He reiterated that message on TV with George Stephanopoulos in a clip that was not aired in that video. George Stephanopoulos says, "So you would have withdrawn troops like this even if President Trump had not made that deal with the Taliban." President, "I would have tried to figure out how to withdraw those troops, yes." And Mr. Chairman, if I may, just one last comment about the terms of the Doha Agreement. I'm not here to criticize the deal. I'm not here to defend the deal. But one thing that is important to recall about the deal is that it was conditions-based. If the Taliban did not meet their obligations under the deal, then the United States was released from its obligations under the deal. And this is exactly what Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said in March of 2020. I quote, "Doha is a conditions-based agreement. If we assess that the Taliban is honoring the terms of the deal, the U.S. will reduce our presence toward a goal of 0 in 2021. But," and this is the key quote, "if progress stalls, then our drawdown likely will be suspended as well." President Biden did not have his hands tied by the Doha Agreement. He made a decision months before the Doha Agreement to withdraw, and the agreement gave him all the flexibility he needed to adjust his approach.
Conditions-based. As somebody who flew combat missions over the Middle East, not in Afghanistan, but has, again, 2 decades of military experience, the conditions-based approach is what every military commander learns. It's what every general and secretary of defense aims for, and I'm afraid that we got this completely opposite. It was not conditions-based. General McKenzie, in fact, at this point in December of 2021, stated we're probably at 1 or 2% of the capabilities we once had to look into Afghanistan, making it very hard to understand what is happening there. Colonel Douglas, do you agree with that statement, that we virtually have no idea what's going on?
I would have to agree with General McKenzie on that. I mean, bottom line is even if we have an over-the-horizon capability, it's best to find humans with humans.
Ms. Ledeen, your thoughts? You previously said that what happens in Afghanistan does not stay in Afghanistan, and that lack of intelligence, how does that negatively impact our security?
Mr. Chairman, as someone who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, working with the intelligence community, I can tell you that we were successful based on our human-enabled signals intelligence. We have incredible tools, but they're also limited in the sense that they need to be focused in the correct place to get what we need. And that's why we traditionally rely on sources on the ground to help direct us as to where we need to focus those efforts. We have lost that human element at this point, and our SIGINT element is greatly reduced. So I would say there's no way to just turn that human spigot back on. We are not a trustworthy partner anymore. We abandoned our human assets, and many of them have been tortured and murdered now. So, and it's not, again, it doesn't only stay in Afghanistan. Our partners around the world have seen that, and they have reacted accordingly. Saudi Arabia has gone from a potential Abraham Accords partner to de-dollarization in 2 years.
Thank you very much. My time has expired. It's time that we focus on the threats and get our minds back right. With that,